aham eva vedyo. This is the end of all Vedic rituals, all performance of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all directions for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to the end. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities and understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all works can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant mind is not to be disturbed in their activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. It's a very beautiful verse which we all have to understand, realize, and we will try to understand it in such a manner that how can we develop this kind of a thought process? How can we imbibe and daily routine? Whether we will be able to present ourselves with this particular shloka. See, Bhagavad Gita is a Vedic science. It's a perfect science. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that everything has to be understood by the Lord's grace, and it can be understood in such a manner that it is the statement by default. The first statement in this particular verse itself says, Vedesha Sarve Aham Eva Vedyaho. In order to understand what Vedic essence is, right? Krishna has to give the knowledge, intelligence, and remembrance. That's the first part of this particular shloka, 15th chapter, 15th verse. It says, Sarvasjaham Ridhisannivishtam Matar Smitir Jnanam Aponancha. Vedesha Sarver Aham Eva Vedyo Vedantakrit Vedavit Eva Chaham. So, in order to understand this, it's not so straightforward. For everyone is not going to go back to God directly at this point at immediate sense, because they need to first purify from the levels on which they are in. Someone is in the mode of goodness, someone is in the mode of ignorance, someone is in the mode of passion. So the person who is in the mode of ignorance has to move up the scale, right? In order to do so, this is a very beautiful verse which gives a very nice and clear tip for a preacher of Krishna consciousness or someone who wants to follow Krishna consciousness as their lifestyle. It is not something that it is Krishna consciousness is a part of our life. We are not guests to this moment. We should not be. We are actually understanding the lifestyle because Krishna consciousness itself is a lifestyle on its own. So we need to adapt in such a manner that we learn to live that lifestyle. So here, this verse, Srila Prabhupada says, is a clear tip for all the preachers of Krishna consciousness who can actually help others and show a path of how to dovetail everyone's propensity in Krishna's service. Firstly, let us understand three important things. This verse also gives that detail. First thing is, there is never in this lifetime of this universe, there is a sense of happiness. It is always flickering. Means to say that you can never find happiness in this world. It is flickering happiness. Second, anyone who thinks that they can lead a peaceful and happy life in this world is actually building a castle in a bathroom, which will never happen because it is a phantasmagoria. We are thinking that we'll be happy, peaceful, and enjoying ourselves. We are very, very comfortable and safe. But nothing is working in our direction. It is being, the next verse actually speaks this. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartam iti manyate. Krishna is actually focusing his attention to the material nature, and the material nature is working closely in interaction with the Supreme Lord. And he is the one who's actually guiding the material nature to act according to our karmas. The entire chapter is completely dedicated to our actions and reactions, right? The third one is that no five fingers is the same, or no two hands is the same. But when the same person who has two hands starts clapping, right, by the use of the fingers in the service of Krishna, just like we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and then we clap. right? Every finger feels the same happiness just simply by being in Krishna's service. So in order to be in Krishna's service, you need two things. First is your effort and Krishna's mercy. And if your effort is not enough, you need to put more effort. So here we are seeing this very straightforward information that all kinds of ritual can be simply stopped, and you are starting the spiritual connect from the core of your heart, right? Krishna stays in the heart, right? He is in the heart, right? We all know about it. Krishna is saying that he is in the heart, who is the one who is giving us the knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So, in order to do so, because the living entities or the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond the sense enjoyment or gratification, they wanted to go deeper and deeper to understand it through the Vedas. Many people always ask this question: "Oh, Bhagavad Gita, it's so very, very simple. You should read Vedas. Vedas have got more information on it." But the fact is, of all the Vedas, Krishna is saying, "I am to be known." That means that you don't need to know the Vedas, because the Vedas are so vast in its nature and we don't have time for it, right? We know that there are four Vedas and it was the fifth Veda divided for the people of less intelligent people, right? What are the Vedas? Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, and Sama Veda. So in that, the fifth Veda, Panchama Veda, is Mahabharata. In that part of Mahabharata is what is Bhagavad Gita, right? Through these fruitive activities and sense gratifying thought process, which are actually regulated by these Vedic rituals, people are getting bewildered. They literally are not understanding the reality of where we are, because we are literally losing time. The day starts, and by the day ends, you are lost one day of your life. And that's a big thing, because we don't know how long we are going to be in this world, in this body. We might be in this world, but not in the same body, because one day or the other we have to leave it. Jata Siva Dhruva Mrityur. The person who is born is guaranteed to die. He has to relinquish this body and then go for another body. So, how do we market for a better body? To understand what the essence of the life is, what's the goal of life is, how we can overcome all these kind of difficulties. How can I overcome this birth, death, old age, and disease? Why is that good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people? Why am I here? What is my relation to this world? If you start asking these questions, which is what the Shastras explain it as Atato Brahma Jignasa, asking very relevant questions, then we can become a very big expert in practicing first this part of Krishna consciousness and then preaching next the science of Bhagavad Gita. Without any effort, how will we expect a great result? Just like even a student, right? If the person is not practiced, how can you expect a great result in the exam? The student has to first learn, work hard, he has to write, he needs to know. Similarly, he need to practice a lot. Similarly, in this test of life, we are all being given a wonderful opportunity to study, to chant, to associate, to visit the holy places. Hence, what will happen? We should utilize this wonderful opportunity given by the Supreme Lord to all of us, so that we can become more stronger and stronger. Because we are all covered, right? What are we covered with? Our roti makan kapada is covered, right? Food, clothing, and shelter. That's why we are all sitting here in this Zoom class. Otherwise, what do you think? Who will be here? One day I will have to probably speak, or someone else is going to speak just that, right? Do you think anyone will stay here if we don't have this roti makan kapada covered? No, we'll be running like dogs and hawks for the basic cover. But if we really want to know what difficulty is there in this world, we should all go and visit an homeless shelter. Then we will know how much suffering is there in this world. There is no, you go to any of the hospitals, look at the amount of diseases, amount of impediments. People are suffering so badly. They are not understanding the reality. Constant anxiety is going on and on. They want to have a very peaceful and happy life, but that's not allowing them. So Prabhupada explains here very clearly. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all the work which can be dedicated in the service of Krishna can bring a great, great fortune for the person. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a manner as an example, right? Let's be an example, a better person, first and show that example to the world, so that the ignorant person who is working for sense enjoyment or sense gratification can learn slowly and start learning and behave. The ignorant person is not very happy. He is not happy, but still he is very happy in this situation. Why? Because he thinks that that's heaven for him. We have many examples in the Shastras. Also, in realistically, we also would have come across some people whom we have interacted with, like the example of Indra, right? Indra was once he was being cursed, and so he came to the earth, and he was the king of the pigs. So then Brahma came back and said that Brahma came and asked Indra, Indra, what are you doing here? You are supposed to be the king of heaven. There is no one to take rule or take charge of it. And you are sitting here and you are saying, I am the king of pigs. So how is it possible? You should relinquish all this and then go quickly to the heavens. Your place is there, but I don't know why you're still here and what do you want to do with all this? So Indra says, please don't disturb me. I'm very happy with my family. I'm very happy with the food I am getting. I'm very happy with my position as a king of pigs. Imagine how ignorant Indra is, right? Of course, he's been put in that kind of example so that we all understand it. Or like an example of a person who actually wants to cook meat, right? He thinks it's divine. He is preparing something very divine. His nose is completely blocked. His senses are completely locked to that ignorance. That is why he is saying that ignorance is bliss, right? But for others, outside the influence of that ignorance, right, they think, oh my God, we can't stay there. It's so obnoxious smell. It's a challenge to be with these kind of people, right? But what to do? That's the biggest challenge, to be with them, to help them. But however, Krishna is so kind, right? Lord Chaitanya is so kind. He has given us so much blessings. He has given us all kinds of support. And hence he is called Namo Mahavadanyaya. He is the most munificent form of the Lord. There he is giving us so much mercy simply by chanting the holy name. It is our utmost responsibility, to be honest, right? To give this message of Lord Chaitanya to one and all. There is already a prediction that every town and village will have the holy names of the Lord being spread. But we just have to see how we can be a part of that. So that Srila Prabhupada's grace, that we can be a part and a small instrument, nimittamartham bhava savvesachin. Simply being a small instrument in the hands of the Lord, in the hands of Srila Prabhupada, then there is a massive change in our own heart. It will bring a lot of revolution in our heart. This will come. It will just take a little bit of time. But the day once you get this kind of a conscious effort, right, and you carefully follow without disturbing your thoughts, you have to be conscious. First, you become conscious, then you can become Krishna conscious. Then that change will come in each and every one of us. I'll give you an example. Because Krishna is in the heart, again, he is looking at us, how much effort we are putting in Krishna's service. Upadishta Anumantacha. So he is there, he is focusing, he is helping, he is giving us the intelligence to do and all this. It's just a matter of time where we can focus, we can get the things done, and how we can help others who are in the mode of ignorance to slowly bring up to the level of mode of goodness. At least, if not mode of goodness, at least make them to come to the mode of passion, right? It will wake them up. It's so powerful. Like, for example, the best way to reach a man's heart is through some Krishna prasadam, right? You can give some nice prasadam. There are many people who are desperately looking for that. If no one will say no to food. So if you give that, automatically, maybe Radha Gokulanda's Barfi or Sandesh or Radha Landaneshwara's Barfi, Mangalarti sweets, give to those people. Give some prasadam. Slowly, it will change them. It will wake them up. Jeev Jaga will happen. It is just a matter of time. You will practically see for yourself in your own eyes, in your own lifetime, that there will be some kind of influence which will happen in their lives. And then you will see how we can give them a helping hand slowly to build them up to come to the next level of their ladder, to the mode of passion first, then to the mode of goodness. Unless we come to the mode of goodness, it's highly impossible for us to go back to God. It's impossible or next to impossible, Because Shastra has explained, also Bhagavad Gita explains, and also Srimad Bhagavatam explains that we need to come to the level of mode of goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Only then we will be able to go to that realm where that is eternally present, right? The Vishuddha Sattva, the mode of super goodness is always present. So then this is needed for us. How do we learn it? How do we do this? Shastra has explained that we can do it in such a manner that we will also get inspired. We will also get that pure Sukruti, that we enable it. Once Prabhupada was asked this question, that Prabhupada, they are talking about so much Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and many things. We were all hippies and we are all mlechas, born in a very low class people family. Many of us did not even have a family, and many of these things are happening. How did we get all this kind of Sukruti, or what you're calling us, some kind of a costless grace? Prabhupada said, you didn't have it. I had to enable it. So in the same way, this can be done by all of us simply by doing a little bit. Swalpamupiyasya dharmasya trayato mahato dvaya. Right? Bhagavad Gita explains beautifully. Neha vikramanashasti pratyavayu navidyate swalpamupiyasya dharmasya. Right? You can do Shastradan, you can do Annadan, you can do Godan. These three dans at least constantly do all through your life. Little, as much as you can. Then our lives will become successful. Then we can see how we can help others to become there in their life successful. So this is the process. Many of our devotees have gone through this process, and we can practically see how even in during the Prabhupada period of time, there were so many hippies and milechas and all that. Now they are all great spiritual masters. They are guiding us. They are actually showing us so many people, spiritual masters, shiksha gurus, temple managers, commanders, great preachers. They are all following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. So in the same way, we need to follow this. If we do it for ourselves, then we become more purified. Then we will realize, okay, Krishna, thank you for this, giving a chance. At least I am small instrument in his lotus hands, then I can do something useful for the Lord's pleasure, right? First and foremost thing, we should have this kind of a complete endeavoring desire. Our desire must be strong to serve Krishna. If we don't have the desire, pray to the Lord. Go in front of the Lord and say, oh Lord, because he's a person. Prabhupada says Krishna is a person. He is in the temple. He is in your house altar. You have to go and talk to him. You need to sort it out. And we can't just do it on our own. So we need some helping hand. We need some guidance. So we go and sit in front of the Lord or stand in front of the Lord and say, oh Lord, I have this issue. I have many issues. Who else will you go and approach? Your father or anyone else, a stranger? So we go and approach the Lord and ask him, oh Lord, please enable me. Please empower me. I'm not qualified for anything. Forget about preaching to people. At least I am not qualified to practice my own spiritual practice. Please enable me. I will be indebted. I wanted to chant your holy names. It's not easy, because unless until the Lord and makes that possible, right? We all know it's a fact, right? The copyrights for the holy name is not in our hands. The copyrights of the holy name is in the hands of the Supreme Lord. The copyrights of the spiritual world, the world in which we are all wanting to go, the window to the spiritual world is not in our hands. The Lord has to open the window. Only then we can peep inside, right? The same way, Srila Prabhupada has given us a beautiful platform, this Krishna consciousness, this wonderful movement called ISKCON, right? He has given us such a beautiful set of people, wonderful association, wonderful prasadam, wonderful book, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, right? Everything is top class, number one, A class, right? If we simply take all these things into our thoughts and simply try to just simply follow what Srila Prabhupada wants us to do, the world around us, the world inside us will be completely at peace. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. That will happen. Unless until we do this, we cannot expect great revolution to come through. So that is why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to first achar, then prachar. So we need to first practice and become more adept to the process of Krishna consciousness at much shorter period of time before even we can contemplate of trying to understand how we can move to the next level of our Krishna conscious practice. then our consciousness becomes very fine, refined. Then moment it becomes refined, automatically our practice of Krishna consciousness becomes very beautiful, and that will help not just us, the people around us, the circle of influence all of us carry, right? Everyone has some little circle of influence, right? We all have, because at least when you say something, people will listen to you, right? In order to do so, first we need to practice. The moment we practice in a much nicer fashion, then we can take that to the next level. That's what is the subject matter of this particular verse, that it's giving a beautiful tip for a wonderful, simple preacher of Krishna consciousness. And it gives the same amount of effort that for all of us, whatever small efforts we do, efforts we put, right, it gives us manifold results. Prabhupada explains beautifully that if we step a little forward, Krishna will come 10 times closer to us. And in the same way, all these things can wonderfully manifest only when we start chanting, we take association of like-minded devotees, we start understanding Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, small books like Science of Self-Realization, many books. One lifetime is not sufficient. Even if you study a page, you can become a sage. Right? Vaisheshik Prabhu always says the sage by a page. But if we don't even study that part, how do you expect the output? So in order to do so, we should start somewhere. And today is a great day because tomorrow is Ekadashi. So start on Dashami and continue with your spiritual practice in a much stronger fashion. That will help you, that will help your relatives, friends, your circle of influence, and all others who think and look forward for your thoughts and views, right? That's important for us. I'll stop here. Any questions, comments, reflections, we'll take it from there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Landaneshwar Bhagwan ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Panchatattva Bhagwan ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Okay, any questions, any comments? You think it was all that what I could say? I hope it had been digested or absorbed, or you could at least take a little bit into your system. If that's so, it's great. Okay. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I just wanted a little bit of clarification on, sometimes we're told when we do our performance not to have any expectations, no desires. Well, I know we need desires for certain things, but and not to expect anything. So in a way, you're saying if we do good, well, in a way we'll be going to be beside God, to reach God. Well, isn't that an expectation and a desire? And
yeah, that's very good point. Yes. Ideally speaking, you should not have any desire. That means that for every action you do, you should not expect a reaction to happen.
That's right.
But that's not idealistic. We are still in this plane, material plane. So obviously there is going to be a little bit of desires. But the idea here is that if we can channelize all our desires in serving Krishna, then that desire itself gets purified. Right? Why do we say, let's say, for example, I'll give a fundamental example. Let's say you like soup and someone else in your house likes a stir fry. The third person says, no, I want sambar and sabji and chapati and dal and all those things, right? Everyone has a desire because they already are mentally preparing themselves for that kind of a preparation. So then how do we safely say that your desire is the best or your desire of expectation is not great? I should not be expecting something in return. What we do is that we keep all these desires, but we channelize to the service of Krishna. We dovetail it, right? We give it to the Lord. End of the day, you need to give it to the Lord. So we give that entire preparation to the Lord, and then we ask the Lord, oh Lord, please partake this and give us this remnants. And then we partake whatever we wanted. You wanted a stir fry and someone wants a soup, someone wants something else, you take it. So your desire is fulfilled. But in that process of fulfilling your desire, you're already getting completely purified, because you are taking the remnants of the Supreme Lord's Krishna Prasadam. So in the same way, in our daily routine also, and also in your own conscious effort to become more serious in the practice of Krishna consciousness, your desire should get purified. In order to get your desire purified, you need to channelize all that what you are trying to do for the pleasing element of Krishna's pleasure. Hope answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Very
All right.
useful. When you put it like that, you know,
Yeah,
you're doing it in that
it's
sense instead of
yes, it's not that easy, and
no.
we are not expecting everyone to be saint on day night, right? We are not
Yes,
going to be an overnight saint. We are all on the process of becoming saints, but it is going to take time. Someone
yeah,
is, but we are all sailing on the same boat, mind you, and Srila Prabhupada is the captain. So, but maybe someone is in the lower decks, someone is in the first level, second level, third level, fourth level, or 10th level, or someone is in the 14th story of a ship. But still, we are all sailing on the same boat. It's only up to you how you can climb the stairs of this Krishna consciousness by becoming more stronger in your resolute determination to serve Krishna. And automatically, Krishna will guide you there from the heart. And then you can see your constitutional position of how you can be a servant of the servants. Then you will see the practical, realistic situation, not a very idealistic situation or not some speculative situation, but very practical and realistic situation of your own self. Okay.
Hare Krishna, yes. I mean, in this life, as you say, we have different planes within one day. You have different levels of being on different planes. So it's not easy, as you say, and that's reassuring, really.
No, that's very natural, right? I mean,
yeah,
let's become very practical. I mean, let's not go and think about oh, this is not for me and this is for everyone else and it's not going to happen to me. I mean, that's not the way to look at Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a complete science. It's a wholesome stuff. It's not you take bits and bobs out of it. It's a lifestyle on its own. You practice this lifestyle because it's time tested and it has got all the ground rules very nicely laid out, right? You don't have to worry. The procedures are there, the processes are there. Just you have to follow what Srila Prabhupada has given us. That's enough for us. We don't have to say anything else. We don't have to do anything else. That's why the ritual stops, spiritual starts. Till then, ritual was a very important situation for all of us. Like you go, you do some agarbatti, you do some, dhupa, deepa, whatever, right? That is also needed because it has to supplicate to your spiritual practice. But if you go to any Indian temples, you can see that they will do some puja and all that for every day. 365 days, there is a puja. So you can keep doing it. But what is the idea? What's the intent behind that pujas? Is it bringing me to the level of Krishna consciousness? Am I being closer to Krishna? Am I started to love Krishna? Am I starting to understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita? Am I starting to understand what is Krishna trying to tell it to our fallen conditioned souls? Then you will know the realistic practice. Okay. Yes.
Krishna. Thank you.
Great. So I've got two questions here. One, I just want to know someone from Indra Galaxy Tab A. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like what you said about the distribute prasadam that can change the persons to understand spiritual path. Yes, it's a fact. I remember I used to go and give every day. I used to, on the weekends, I used to go and collect Mangalarti Prasadam from Soho, Radha Londoneshwara's Mangalarti Prasadam. I used to keep it. And I used to give the small Mangalarti Barfis. And sometimes I used to get some Radha Gokulananda's Sandesh or something, some Mahaprasadam. So I used to go and give it to one of my colleagues. And I used to give it in such a manner that I casually used to give. I never said it's Prasadam. I just said, look, I got some sweets for you. If you want, you can take it. So this person used to take it regularly. And suddenly after 2-3 months, I stopped it. And this person came out and said that, hey, you used to give me some kind of a sweets. It was fantastic. It was very mesmerizing. Suddenly you stopped and you're not giving, I am craving for it. And then I said, oh no, I didn't go to the temple. Sometimes I go, and if I get it in my house, I'll bring it. So I brought him next time. This person now is helping us to conduct Rath Yatras in Newbury and different places in the southeast and southwest. So Krishna Prasadam is so powerful because it is actually connecting the person to the heart, because the Lord is seated in your heart, right? Sarvasya chaham Riddhi Sanivishto is in the heart, Riddhi, right? He's the one who is giving us the knowledge, intelligence, and remembrance. So then that person gets a channelizing revolution in his heart. So then prasadam is so powerful. So that is why we should offer every single thing. What you want to eat. Yes, I want to eat ice cream in summer. I want to eat ice cream in the winter also. So, okay, that's fine. Go to the shop, buy an ice cream, which is eggless. Go and give it to the Lord. Let him eat, and then you get purified also. Go for it. Okay, so the second question is, Hare Krishna, could you please let us know the significance of tomorrow's Ekadashi? Every Ekadashi is very significant, right? The idea behind the significance of every Ekadashi is to remember the Lord and minimize our thoughts about our bodily requirements. As long as we are able to understand that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul, and we are connected to Krishna, this is what helps us on Ekadashi. You don't have to worry about too many things, the bodily needs or bodily necessities. Every Ekadashi has its own significance, just like how Yudhishthira Maharaj is discussing with the Lord himself. Like if tomorrow is Indra Ekadashi, so there is a significance of it. You can go to Birmingham Temple's website and then you can read through that. I'm not going to go through the story of it. But Ekadashi Mahatmya, the Mahatmya of Ekadashi itself is to make us understand that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul, and we should serve the Supreme Lord in the best of our ability. So the day itself, just like how the holy Dham inspires us to chant more, to be with the devotees more, to understand how this wonderful world is being covered with something which is not very palatable, then we realize, okay, I'm not from this world, I'm from the spiritual world. Somehow or the other, I made a mistake, I come here. So in that manner, every Ekadashi helps us to remember the Supreme Lord. That's why it's called Hari Vasara. So you become closer to the Lord. Spend more time reading Srila Prabhupada books. Go on Harinam. If you can't go to Harinam, no problem. Sit in your house, chant holy names. You can't chant, no problems. You hear at least to the holy names. There are some kirtans, put on your music system. So you can't hear that, at least read Srila Prabhupada books. If you can't still do that, prepare some wonderful jacket potato and have it. If you can't do that, at least have some bananas and be happy and satisfied. That much I can tell you. So the most important of it is to remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. That's the idea behind every Ekadashi, and it's helping us. Thank you for the session. The
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, I'm so reassured with the ice cream example, because we're told so many things about the ingredients have to be so right, and you can't be having all these artificial additives to in what you offer to Krishna. And that all that gets you so concerned and uptight when you're offering. So I'm really pleased about that, because
yeah, don't worry about it.
busy life, and sometimes you haven't
Everything in
got
the
time.
cosmos belongs to the Lord. So ice cream also belongs to the Lord. It's just that you don't want to go and eat outside. You prepare yourself and offer it to the Lord. There are many websites, which is Krishna conscious websites, which also talks about how to prepare ice creams, like totalveg.com, and go in there. And you have so much of recipes available. So you can try yourself and you'll get some purified work. So that's great.
Krishna, yes.
Okay, the next question is, purport states an ignorant person should not be disturbed in his activities. May we have more information on the same? Okay, so this is simple as it. Any person who is ignorant is not going to be bothered to hear whatever you're saying. So the idea here is not to disturb him from his own activities which you're doing. So let's say, for example, someone is a homeless, is not in the mode of goodness, and definitely not in the mode of passion, because he is going to be very dirty. He is going to be eating any junk food and anything and everything. And this is the kind of people who are actually very ignorant of even their own constitutional position as the spirit soul, because they are not bothered about anything else. They are only bothered about where is their food, clothing, and shelter on the next level, right? This kind of persons who are not going to be directly pushed into the understanding of you're a spirit soul, you don't belong to this body, and you're Krishna, you should be Krishna conscious. You can't talk to them. So the idea here is that we don't disturb his activities. Let him continue with his own. He will probably go and ask you, can he spare a change? And what he's going to do with that change, he'll probably go and smoke a weed, or probably go and drink some alcohol, and then go and sit back to his own place in the high street. But what can be done? The only thought here, what we can do is to somehow or the other influence his heart. The influence of the heart, just like Prabhupada gives the example, a mountain has consciousness, a plant has a consciousness, an animal has a consciousness, and a human also has a consciousness. So what is the level of consciousness? Completely variant, right? A mountain is not going to move from here to there. It's very unstable, right? So the consciousness level is what is mattered. So we are trying to deal with these kind of people at the conscious level. So the way in which you are going to give a conscious level concept itself is that you need to give them something which they are adept to. What are they adept to? Eating food. Instead of eating 100 boxes of meat, you can give 1 box of Krishna Prasadam in between. So then there is a change. We have practically seen it because we feed the homeless and the homeless shelter, and we also serve the drug rehabilitation center with Krishna Prasadam on Wednesdays and Thursdays through Food for All. What we do that is we pray to the Lord and we just offer it to the Lord, and then we take and give it to them. Their faces are blooming. They look forward for our prasadam because one, they are homeless. They are not bothered about what's going to happen to them. They're literally, they're like, oh my God, what is this? They are in major, I'll tell you, major depression all the time. But when they take this Krishna Prasadam, right? Phenomenal. You can practically see them. If you are free, you are most welcome to come on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We'll take you to these places. You can see even the managers of this homeless shelters, they are so happy to receive this Krishna Prasadam. We don't say it's Prasadam, we just say it's food. But the way in which we present it is that this becomes their battery charging energizer for 1 full week. So then they take it and they are happy with it. Hopefully someday they will see some kind of conscious improvement in their lifetime, and then they become, probably, who knows, they may become a devotee, or probably they can, if not the devotee, at least a favorable to the devotees, or someday or the other. You know, it's not that easy. To be a homeless is a cursed state. How much of sinful activities the person or the soul should have done in their past that Krishna himself could not give him a shelter. That must be so pathetically placed. And these are the kind of people we are talking and dealing with. They are literally ignorant. They don't even care about it. I mean, I'm not going to say only the homeless are ignorant. The entire society is completely ignorant. It's a realistic pattern, right? You talk about a celebrity is completely ignorant. Why? Because they are looking at body. We are this body. We are not the spirit soul. That's what their concept, and that's how the entire world is getting sold, right? India is fighting with Australia. Australia is fighting with America. America is fighting with England. England is fighting with someone else. This is what is the entire world is going through, right? So, but then how will we change this world with the way in which we can influence? First, we need to do our own part, little part, step by step, right? Prabhupada explains, right? Small drops make an ocean. In the same way, every little helps. So this is what our Krishna conscious offering to the Supreme Lord and to Srila Prabhupada. So if we can practice, we can become stronger in our resolute determination to serve Krishna, and we are done. We have done our job, and Krishna will take care of the rest. We don't have to worry about it. That's my personal understanding, but I don't know, maybe someone else has more understanding. If you have, please, most welcome to say. Right? Okay, so is there any other questions, or maybe if you have one more, I can take it. Otherwise, we can stop for you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Thank you for all
Right,
your
right.
enlightening ideas. Thank you.
Okay, someone has just messaged me, where can I meet your group to make prasadam for the homeless? Oh, send me a message, Mataji. I mean, we are serving here in Reading. I don't know whether you live in Reading. If you're living in Reading, you can reach either my wife, Amala Manjari, or me on my phone number. Then we'll see how we can do. Otherwise, it's slightly difficult because of the logistics. We cannot, definitely we'll be very happy. Maybe Krishna will protect you all. Then he can enable us to bring more homeless closer to Krishna through prasadam in some way or other. We'll work it out. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jai Nande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you,
Hari Bol.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much,
Very
Prabhu, for the
nice
wonderful class.
Thank you.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.